Okay, so this is going to be a really quick video on how to actually optimize your sleep quality. If your goal is to gain as much muscle as you can or lose as much fat as you can in the shortest possible time, these are some of the strategies that I use myself and the strategies that I give to my clients as well to fix their sleep. If you watch to the end of the video and you implement the things that I'm saying, I guarantee you're going to have much better sleep quality and you're going to actually maximize the amount of muscle growth that you can actually get. So first of all, just to talk about the reasons why all of this is important. Now, most people will focus on their training. They will try and get their nutrition dialed in, and these are obviously really important, but a lot of people just neglect their sleep. Now, you are growing the most amount of muscle while you're resting. You're sleeping for about a third of the day, or you should be, if you're doing it properly, and your muscle growth is going to depend on how much time you're actually resting for and the quality of that rest time. Now, one of the biggest effects on how much muscle you're able to build and how quickly you're able to lose fat and retain muscle at the same time is going to depend on how much testosterone you're producing. You want to make sure that your testosterone levels are as high as they can possibly be naturally, right? Now, if you're skipping out on sleep, if you're getting like less than 6 hours of sleep every night, or just a really inconsistent schedule of sleep, then you are guaranteed to be hindering your testosterone production. And what that's going to be doing is just having a massive knock-on effect to how much muscle you're able to actually build. What is in tandem with this is also your cortisol levels. So the higher your cortisol levels, the lower your testosterone. And when you skip out on sleep, when you neglect your sleep, your cortisol levels are going to rise. It's going to put your whole body into this state of stress. And whenever your body is stressed, it is not going to be able to recover as well as it would if you were relaxed. Okay, so if your cortisol levels are higher, you're going to find out that your muscles will struggle to grow. If you're cutting weight, you're going to find that your muscles will shrink at the same time as well. You're going to have low energy, you're going to have low mood, and all around it's just not going to be a good time. Okay, and when you're stressed, you handle situations differently. You're not going to be able to approach situations with the right mindset that you need. And it's going to impact not just the work that you're doing in the gym, but also the work that you're doing in your professional life, in your personal life, like whatever it is. You really don't want to be in that state of stress. So if you implement these strategies, you're basically going to have more muscle to gain, more fat to lose, and a higher state of cognition. So your brain's just going to be operating on 100% efficiency. Like, this is a pretty good reason to actually optimize this stuff. And the following slides are basically going to explain exactly how to do this. So just to start off with, and this is probably the most important thing, the amount of people that I speak to who don't really have a sleep schedule, or the sleep schedule that they have is just not very good at all. So you need to make sure, first of all, with your circadian rhythm, you understand what that. For me, I work best in the morning, so I like to optimize my mornings properly. And I wake up at 6 a.m. each day. I try and go to sleep at about 10 p.m. each night. But the most important thing about this is that it is the same every single day. Now, if you're waking up Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. every single day, and you're struggling to do that, and then you get to Saturday and you feel like sleeping in to 7, 8, 9 a.m. in the morning, of course it's going to be difficult to wake up at 6 a.m. during the week. You are sabotaging your own ability to wake up early in the morning. The best thing that you can do, and this was a complete game changer for me, is just set a wake up time, set a bedtime, and just stick to it consistently, even on your off days. And if you do this for long enough, and it doesn't really take that long, it takes about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks max to actually feel the benefits of this. If you do that, you'll get to the point where waking up at 6 a.m. or whatever wake up time that you choose, it just becomes easy. It becomes natural. Your body just becomes used to it. And it really doesn't matter what time it is. You could start waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning. And if you did that consistently over the span of like a week and a half, 2 weeks, on that, third week, it would become just easy. It would become second nature to you. You wouldn't even need to set an alarm because your body would just wake you up naturally. And you'll find that you won't need to be catching up on sleep anymore. You won't need to do any of this stuff. If you skip a day here and there, like, it doesn't really matter. But what's really going to sabotage your progress in this regard is getting to the end of the week and then trying to catch up on sleep or have lie-ins. It doesn't really work. You're going to be much more tired in the long run if you do this. and it's just going to completely sabotage your circadian rhythm. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is just optimizing your environment. So the environment is really important. You know, if you're trying to sleep, you need to make sure that several things take place. You need to make sure that you're in a dark room. If you've got any light in your room whatsoever, you need to find a way to get rid of that. And I'm talking even about like having some kind of, like I have a coffee machine in my room and there's an LED display on it. I've covered it up with tape because it's just going to disrupt your sleep. Okay, your body is dependent on you sleeping in a dark room, and if there's light coming through, it's going to affect that. Same thing for noise. You know, this is maybe something that you don't have much control over, but if you're in a noisy environment, you need to get some kind of earplugs and make sure that you're eliminating that completely. Temperature wise, it's always a good idea to have a cold room. The reason for this is your brain needs to cool down by 1 to 2 degrees in order to go to sleep, and this will happen naturally, but if you can make sure that your environment is cold, then this will just help out that process and it will help you to go to sleep quicker. Ways to do this, you know, again, like if you're lucky enough to have air conditioning, then this is a great idea, or just opening your window when you sleep. Having air ventilation is always a good idea anyway. So the fourth thing is just to tidy your room. You know, so many people who are struggling to, you know, be productive, you know, just operate as a human, are trying to do so in a messy environment, and all that it's doing is it's just raising your cortisol levels, even if you don't realize it. You know, if you're someone who doesn't really mind living in a messy environment, just tidy your space. Like, do it once and just maintain it, and just raise your standards. Just keep to that standard. You will find that you'll have a much more relaxing time. You know, you'll be in a much better state of mind when everything around you is in order. And then the last thing is going to be just to eliminate any kind of stresses. So a really good example of this is notifications. Like, imagine being, you know, close to going to sleep, and then you get a notification through that stresses you out. Maybe it's a work email, maybe it's, you know, it could be anything, right? But it's going to raise your cortisol levels. It's going to make you stressed out. It's going to make your mind start racing. When you're sleeping, when you're trying to sleep, when you've got your head on the pillow, you don't really want any thoughts in your head. You don't want to be thinking about anything. You don't want to be thinking about something that may or may not happen. And if you're getting notifications coming through that might offset that, then it's a really good way to just end up staying up way too late, and just being in your bed without actually sleeping, which actually is even more counterproductive to your sleep. You know, what you want is, as soon as you're in bed, you want to be asleep. You don't want to be sitting in bed staying awake, because your body will just get used to that. You want to train your brain to associate the bed with sleeping, not staying awake. And this is another thing that I've just thought about. You know, if you're spending time just sitting on your bed, you know, if you're someone who likes to stay in bed in the morning and watch TV, or, you know, I don't know, just spend time in your bed and not be sleeping. Like, again, this is another way to completely throw away any progress that you're making with this stuff. You want to associate the bed with sleeping and sleeping alone. Okay, so as far as a pre-sleep routine is concerned, I highly recommend limiting your screen time before you go to bed, or making sure you have some kind of blue light filter in place. Now, the glasses that I'm wearing at the moment, they are prescription, but they have a blue light filter in them, and it just filters out that harsh light that's going to keep me awake before I go to sleep. Failing that, some phones will have the ability to do that within the software. I highly recommend turning that on, or having a schedule where it turns on at a certain time during the night, or when the sun goes down. Having a nighttime routine in place, again, like, what you want to do is just train your mind so that it starts to wind down at a certain time during the night. So if you're going to bed at 10 p.m. and you're waking up at 6 a.m., then make sure that at 9 p.m. you just completely abandon anything that you're doing. You start this nighttime routine, and if you do this consistently and you do this for long enough, you will just train your mind to start going to sleep, and just to start winding down for the evening. Maybe read a book, do something relaxing, and don't eat anything massive before you go to bed, especially protein, right? Protein is something that will require the most amount of energy from your body to actually digest. So what you really want to avoid is eating a lot of meat right before you go to bed. Have your last meal at least 2 hours before you go to sleep, and you're going to eliminate any possibility of your body being, essentially keeping you awake and affecting your sleep quality by just digesting this massive meal that you've been eating before bed. If you did want to have a snack, make sure that it's small and full of carbohydrates. Actually, carbohydrates do increase serotonin, so it can be a good idea, but this is all going to be dependent on what your goals are. If you're bulking, cutting, this again is going to affect things. Do not have any caffeine past midday. Now for me, I really like caffeine, and I'm not that I'm quite tolerant of caffeine, so for me that rule is about 3 p.m, but I certainly won't have any caffeine after that point during the day. Again, it's going to depend on the person. I think for most people, midday is going to be a really good time to just cut off any kind of caffeine. This includes not just coffee and energy drinks, but also any kind of soft drink. Most soft drinks, like Coca-Cola, like they'll have caffeine in them, so just make sure that you're limiting that completely. Alcohol, if you're watching this video and you're this interested in building muscle and losing fat and like developing a physique, you shouldn't be drinking alcohol anyway. There's really no good reason to have any alcohol. It is quite literally just poison for the body. You cannot metabolize this stuff. So anytime that you're drinking alcohol, all that your body is focused on is just getting rid of that substance from your body. If you've ever gone to bed drunk, you might find that you go to sleep really easily, but a few hours later you'll be up. Your sleep quality will be dreadful. Just don't even entertain the idea of alcohol. It's not worth it. And then what I do is just make sure that you have some kind of zinc and magnesium supplement every day. You don't have to supplement it. There are foods that are rich in zinc and magnesium. If I'm bulking, I'm not going to do this while cutting, but almonds are a really good idea. They're very high in zinc and magnesium, and they just promote good quality sleep. They will make you sleepy. But yeah, I'm cutting right now, so I'm not going to be having almonds. They're very high in calories, but there are alternative foods that you can have, or just take a supplement. If you're taking it as a supplement, do it on an empty stomach and do it right before you go to bed. This is going to be the best for absorption. And then once you wake up in the morning, again, assuming that you're doing this at the exact same time every day, for me that is 6 a.m. And this is going to be dependent on where you live in the world. Now, I live in the UK. It's pretty cold and dark at this point in the year, but if you can, try and get sunlight into your eyes the second that you wake up, or just as soon as you wake up. I don't think that opening the window and I don't think that's good enough. I think actually getting out into the sun is the best way, and what that's going to do is it's going to train your mind that this is the time that you wake up, and it's going to help you to go to sleep sooner in the latter half of the day. It's also just going to wake you up. And then paired with that is just exercise. Just make sure that at some point during the day you're exercising. Try and do it in the morning. I think that is the best time to do it. But if you have to do it in the evening, try and make sure that it's not too close to going to sleep. Again, exercise, it does actually increase your cortisol levels temporarily. Now this is just inevitable. So you don't want that to happen too close to you going to bed. If you're going to do it in the evening, make sure that it's not too late in that evening. So if you implement everything that I've said in this video, I guarantee over the course of the next couple of weeks, you will notice massive shifts to how easy it is to go to sleep, how easy it is to wake up in the morning. And the more sleep that you're getting, the more muscle you're going to grow, the more fat that you're going to lose, and the better quality of life you're actually going to have. It's really affected me. It's really changed the game for me. And I know that with the clients that I've implemented this with, they've noticed massive shifts to not only their physique development, but also just their quality of life. So I highly recommend doing all of this stuff. And if you've got any questions, feel free just to book a call with me. I've got the link in my description. And then we can just talk this stuff through and implement a strategy that actually works for you.